Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hey, before I get started, I meant to throw this in the last couple of videos and I just always forget. Somebody out there asked me a question sometime last week, I believe, and they were talking about something having a metallic taste in their mouth, losing a lot of weight, and was asking me some questions about it or if I could refer them to anybody. I lost the message. I don't know if it was a comment. I went back through a bunch of comments. I've looked on social media. I've looked at my inbox, and I just can't seem to find the person, so I don't want them to think I'm ignoring them. If you're out there and that was you, get in touch with me again. Maybe write me at the email address. You can always, in the description below, I have my website. So just, click on that and you can email or just send me another comment and I'll be on top of it this time. Anyhow, I was doing a little bit of work this morning and I was thinking about this whole area. I've talked about this to you before, about how I'm not a science type person, or that's not it. And now when I say that, I don't want to sound ignorant, like I'm one of those ignorant people that don't believe in science or whatever. I like science. I find science fascinating. It just didn't, it wasn't something I was interested in during the time when I was going to school because of the shitty educational system that we all go through, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, so I feel like when I'm doing stuff or when I'm trying to figure things out or when I'm trying to tweak my diet, I have to work a little harder because I don't quite understand all the science. And you can kind of get overwhelmed, I see all the time people like taking the word of people in a group or just flip messages. Like anything that sounds scientific, people will take the word of what somebody's saying because like the big words and all the scientific jargon seems to just overwhelm them, impress them, whatever. I'm always like that character, I forget what his name was in Thank You for Smoking, where he always says, he's talking about something and he says, who says, why? I always want to know why. I'm never going to just take somebody's word on something just because they're using big words or can talk in scientific jargon. One thing I always like to do is, and you see this a lot of times, and it tends to be like this. It tends to be the way they present it. Like, people that got good scientific knowledge that I tend to take are not beating you over the head with it. I tend to scoff at the people or kind of be a little skeptical when they're just like beating you over the head with their science and they're kind of aggro with it and telling you, well, no, you got to do this. This is wrong doing it that way. But one thing I use in my process is, I don't discount people. We can learn something everywhere, but every once in a while I'll be in a group and, you'll be talking about something or whatever, and somebody just comes in like he's got the authority of God Almighty and he knows exactly what he's talking about. But then I will have somebody else that's scientifically minded say the exact opposite, back it up with a lot of big words, so when you get the battle of the scientific minds, that's where I have to go to my, how does that work for me? That's when I have to apply certain things for me and use my kind of offbeat scientific process, running it through this experiment, which is my body. Another thing I do sometimes, especially when somebody's a little bit cocky with their science and, they're just preaching it like, they are the law on this, is I'll check them out a little bit. I'll go, I'll click. If it's on YouTube, I will click and see if I can do a little background on them. If it's on Facebook or social media, I'll click and I'll try to see them. I'll try to see how they look, how they are. And I'm not talking about your outward physical appearance, whether they're buff or hot or this or that, but I'm talking about, do they look like they're thriving? And a lot of times I'll see these things and somebody's just really out there preaching some science. They even are kind of angry when they're, when we're just having a discussion. And I check them out and I'm like, well, they just don't look all that good. Their adrenals look weak, if you're all pale, kind of look the part if you're going to be really sanctimonious with throwing advice out there and throwing out absolutes. I'll check them out. I'll see, like, how do you look? And I see a lot of them, they do that kind of stuff. They don't look all that good. They don't look like they're thriving. They look like they got weak adrenals. I saw one the other day that was preaching something. I went and checked him out. He's got bags. Everything. He just didn't look all that like what was happening worked for him. Now, the thing is about our bodies. our bodies are just so unique. Each person's body is unique. Now, I wouldn't have thought they were so unique a few years ago, but this just absolute science, or this is how you can do it, is just kind of silly to me. I think everybody should be doing, to be honest with you, everybody should be doing their due diligence like I do. I just don't accept a lot of things face value. I have to apply them to me and see if they work. And I'm not calling anybody else necessarily out there ever a liar. It's just that, okay, if you have tried this and it's worked for you, then do not change one thing you're doing. But, you know, sometimes people just accept people on face value just because they have some sort of a position. They're sort of a guru, or they're sort of supposed to be a knowledgeable person, and people just start following their system, do what they recommend, or take all their advice without doing a little due diligence, without applying it to themselves, and without digging a little deeper. I mean, you know, like I say, I don't take anybody's just word on anything. Anything that I'm going to put into my body or I'm going to do regarding my health, I'm going to check it out. So that's just, you know, this is going to be a quick one to finish the week, start the week off. That's just the quick little, I hope, takeaway on this one is I'm not anti-science by any means. Try to get your, hey, that's what I've been doing all morning. I've been reading scientific stuff. I've been reading some stuff on fat. I've been reading some stuff on a bunch of different little, how this interacts with that, blah, blah, blah. Like I say, it's over my head, but I still plied through it, and I try to still get several opinions from several sources that I respect. And sometimes I respect sources on either side of the subject, which goes back to our bodies are not the same. If you do something, you can do it, and it can work just phenomenal for you. Not going to necessarily be the same with me. I've learned this a lot through the groups that I go to where people have serious health conditions, because, you know, that's like I say, you know, 2-3 years ago, I would have just thought, like, well, that's silly. We can all eat that. What do you mean you can't? But there's people that can't digest the simplest things. So they're, you know, that would, there goes my thinking right there. If I were thinking like that, all our bodies were the same, you know, every day I see this, like somebody saying, well, I eat this and it just flares me up because they have an autoimmune disorder, or they have like a major intestinal problem, a gut disorder, whether it be colitis, Crohn's, whatever, or just leaky gut or irritable bowel syndrome, whatever it is. So, takeaway on this is just always take responsibility. If anything I can ever impress upon you is about this whole lifestyle thing, whether and no matter what you're doing concerning your health, I'd actually say anything of any importance, you got to take responsibility for it. Don't just take anybody's word and just go with it blindly. You've always got to be responsible for your own health. Anyhow, hope you guys like this one. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and I hope you have a wonderful week coming up. Love you guys. Peace.